Hey guys, it's Effective Detective here, back with another video. In today's video, we are going to be making a rock, paper, scissors program with the Readline module. If you haven't watched the previous videos before, I actually recommend you watch it because you need to know the basics about the Readline module and without which you will not be able to work with it. Just to clear some stuff. Firstly, I have been moving on to the Node.js tutorial repository. So, you're recommended, or actually it's suggested, you can say, to move to Node.js tutorial GitHub repository, which I'll be linking down in the description box below to follow up on everything I've been doing here. Okay. Secondly, this Node.js tutorial or the series in this my basic intention is to, how do I put this, clarify the basic concepts of Node and explain how the stuff works, and so that you can at least get accustomed to working with it. And just for people who are jumping into Node, or maybe jumping back into Node, maybe it is even possible that you guys are just here to know something particularly about Node.js. This series is meant to be for that. Okay, so yeah, with those things clear, let's get started. So we did the calculator stuff in the previous video, and now in today's video we will be doing a rock paper game paper program. Actually, I think I should call it RPS. Okay, so RPS single.js. And the reason I am calling this RPS single.js will be pretty clear soon. I think the video will be a bit long this time, but who knows? Let's get right into it. So as usual, what do we want to do? Firstly, we will have our readline variable, which will be imported from our readline module, and then we will have our RPS interface. Okay, interface equals readline create interface. So basically, why am I naming this is I just believe that you should basically name your variables for what they're doing. So that's pretty much the reason. So if you don't want to, you may not. You can call it anything you want. So it will be process.std, and so basically this is the boilerplate code, and this, like, the error or the red lines I'm getting is basically like my coding style. I have set it like that, so it basically says that, hey, you are not following your normal coding style, so it gets angry. This is called a linter. So yeah, that's the thing which is happening. Now we'll ask the user. So what we'll do, we'll ask the user a question for the input. So it will be so in here we'll be asking a question. So pick your pick, because that's what. And we'll be console.logging input and readline input, and I'll close the interface. So let's run it for now and let's see how that works out. So let's pick our pick. I'm just gonna do Pika Peak. Okay, Pika Peak. Yeah, this was just a joke. Anyways, so basically we are getting our inputs all right. So till now our boilerplate code is all right. Now, as you already saw, I had entered a wrong value, which is not rock, which is not paper, which is not scissor. So it should be invalid, right? Exactly right. So I think you guys are getting it. So if the user puts a wrong input, we should throw an error or tell them, right? So that's what we'll do first, because exception handling is something that you should do pretty early, in my opinion. Like in cases with user inputs, you should always do that, because users could always be dumb, just as you saw me doing this. So if input equals like not equals rock, or input wait, and then input not equals paper, that's the wrong spelling, input not equals scissors, console.log invalid input provided, return RPS interface or close, and then we're done. Now what this is basically like it is checking, okay, is the input rock? Is it? Let's say I inputted what, my tongue is drunk today. So if I input paper, so that will be like, it will check, okay, is it rock? No, it isn't. Okay, hold that. So this part, like this parameter is true, and is this also true? Paper. So it is it equal to? Yes, it is equal to. So this is false. So true and false means false. Okay, so if I put something like hello, hi, or something, then it isn't rock, it isn't paper, oops, it isn't scissors. So pretty much like, okay, it will detect that you are providing an invalid input. Now if you might be wondering, why put return here? Return will basically ensure that we don't have to write this in an else statement and mess it up, because the more indentations and like more stuff you get, so like else, then you code your stuff, then you have another function that let's say you have another function which will lead to this, so that will look pretty crappy and messy. So that is the reason why I returned it, so that every value, so if the code reaches here, the input is valid. And this will be if code reaches here, the input is invalid. That is, it is neither rock or paper, scissors. So yeah, that's all. Like, let's say I can just put a console.log for now. So console.log, we are on the right track. We are on the right track. And let's say if it is running, okay. So what do I put? Let's say speed cubing, because that's what I do. Okay, invalid input provided. Rock, we are on the right track. I should have closed interface. So that's what the case is. Now we can code in peace. So what do we do? Next we are going to generate a bot pick or a bot selection. Okay, so the reason for like, how do we generate a bot selection? Let's just make an array of possible choices. So possible choices, it will be an array. So rock, paper, scissors. Getting random, random program pick, and this is closing the interface. Else the user. I forgot to add the extension back. Okay, so we basically have our possible choices, which are rock, paper, and scissors. Now we need to get the program to basically pick any one of them. So let's say if I had to say const pick equals possible choices, and we need to put something in here. So like in this bracket we need to put something. Then what do we do? So like this element access, what is this called? Yeah, element access expression. So we need to either put 0 for rock, 1 for paper, and 2 for scissors. So we need to generate a random number between 0 and 2. So 0, 1 and 2, and it has to be whole number or like an integer. So basically we need to generate that. Now let's get that right away. So if you are not familiar with this, so math dot random. Okay, so basically math.random generates a number between, how do I put this, 1 and 0. So math.random generates a number, let's say that's x, then and x is basically like related to this, related like this, like the following, basically you can say. So it can be x greater than x can be a decimal. X is a decimal, basically is a decimal. It is like it never reaches 0 or 1. So yeah, that's what it is. Now we don't want to index our stuff using like a number which isn't even a decimal. Our program will throw an error right away that we are doing something wrong and like want it. So we can floor it. Okay, so we can math.floor and math.floor. So what does math.floor do? Math.floor takes a decimal and what it does is it floors it. So now if you don't understand what floors it, like floor is, basically it is kind of like, let's say you have let's say, how do I put this, 3.5, just for example's sake. So math.floor, let's just put that inside the function. So math.floor, this will give us 3, for example. Now if we had 999, let's say, okay, that's too many things. Okay, that will still give us 10. So it will always cut off all the decimals provided or after everything after the decimal, and it will just return us the integer. However, for negative numbers it is kind of weird that if you have this, it will basically get you 11, because, well, pretty simple maths that floor is always less than or equal to the number, and minus 11 is less than minus 10 because negative numbers. So yeah, but we don't want, like, if you have something which always lies between 0 and 1 and you floor it, you will always get 0, right? But we don't always want rock. Then what's the use of having all this, right? So we will multiply this. So multiply this random number, not the floor. We will approximate at the end. So we'll multiply with 3. Like we have, maybe put it better there. Now this is a suggested way you should do. You could also put directly 3 because we have 3 options, but this is more dynamic, and this is like a good style or good coding style, because if you just put in arbitrary numbers, it is pretty hard to understand once your code gets too large. Okay, so yeah, we have a picks, but how does this work? Possible choices dot length. So 3. Now let's say our number is really minuscule. Math dot, so let's just call it our random number. So rand num. Okay, so is very minuscule. Something like 0.1 maybe. Yeah, 0.1 times 3, because we always know that, like, we know that this is always 3, so it is always 3, and this gives us 0.3 after floating 0. Now we could say less minuscule. Let's say it is 1.5, 0.5, then it will result us in, like, give us 1.5, and we will get 1. Is large. Let's say something like more than 0.6 is right. That would be enough, right? Yeah. So 2.1. What am I doing? 0.5, and this gives me 1.5. This will give me 1, and this will give me 2. So that's what my idea is. So basically, if your number is greater than 1/3 or like less than 1/3, then you get something less than 1, so it will be floored to 0, because math.float is very merciless. Next we have like 2 times 0, greater than 1/3 but less than 2/3, so that when multiplied will be always less than 2, greater than 1. You can check it for yourself. Now that will always give us 1, because math.float, as I said, is really rude and really hunky and really powerful. It literally cuts it. Next we have something which is greater than 2/3. That will give us our 2, so we can index it like this. So that's how we get it. Okay, so I hope it was clear. I don't know was it or not, so I could just name it butt pin. Now what do we have? Oh wait, on second thoughts, we could make 2 changes. We could make it pick your pick, and we could make it user input. Make this user pick. Now if you're wondering what this is, I'm just gonna restructure one thing to make it more easier for our users. So const user pick equals user input dot to rows. Now if you're wondering what this does, it basically converts everything. So if you have a capital R, then ROCK normal, or you have capital R, capital O, capital C, small k, or something on the lines of that, it just converts it to lowercase. And that is a bit of user friendliness from our sides, because making everything case sensitive for the users is pretty hard on them. And you know what, I'm a good guy, so yeah. Now let's have a function logic, because the more you modularize your code, or more you separate this stuff out, it will be really easy to understand. Also, we will be using this logic function later as well. Spoiler alert. So we'll be just passing in user pick and bot pick. Now obviously this will show an error if you run it right now. So let's just define a function logic, and let's just say you pick, we pick, because I am too lazy. I'm too lazy. So let's just see if we have been coming properly, or going well. Basically our stuff is going well or not. For now, ignore the error right now, because those are unused variables and stuff, which is like ES1 can be really annoying. Okay, so pick your pick. So let's pick a valid pick, rock, scissors. Or I can pick rock again. Okay, invalid input, type of over. Yeah, so we can get pretty random like outputs, which is pretty cool. Next up, we are going to have our user pick, bot pick stuff in our logic function. Now, how does this work? There are three possibilities. So there are three possibilities. By the way, we already know that if like both are in lowercase and both have only three possibilities, so that's what we already know. Just recap that. Okay, one, there's a draw because user pick and bot pick are the same. So yeah, if you have rock, I have rock, then both have rock, everybody has rock, then that will be a draw, right? Just remember your old days when you actually played rock paper scissors with your friends. Then you will remember that, okay, rock, that would be a draw. Okay, so next up, so basically not next up, basically, yeah. So we have user pick equals bot pick, because we already know that if they are rock and rock, they are already lowercase and both are basically the same thing, then why bother about anything else? So why will we write user pick equals rock and bot pick equals rock and or paper like stuff, like, I mean bot pick equals paper and user pick equals paper, or there's a long stuff which we'll see soon. So yeah, so firstly I'm going to console.log. This was a draw. Good job, gentlemen. And we'll return because that's common courtesy. We are returning nothing, so we can say that this is a void function which only executes code, not rather like returning a value, which is not exactly pure functional programming, and we aren't exactly striving to do that. Now our case 2 is the user wins. Now let's imagine what scenarios, like in what scenarios will the user win? One could be, so we can have 2.1, user has rock, bot has rock and it beats scissors. Oops. Okay, what? So that's case 1. Case 2 is paper, like the user has paper but the rock has, like the bot has rock, then obviously the user will win. And in the third case we have scissors, so that's paper, so then again the bot loses. So how do we exactly code this in like using logical operators? That's what we are doing. So by the way, if you didn't know, you can basically, like, you have these brackets, these parentheses, you can write stuff here if you have long stuff, so you can enter it away and, you know, make your code a bit less long, maybe like horizontally, because horizontally long code is a nightmare to read. Like, to be honest, I was just going through some code online, just scraping a website. Not that great, and not that great at scraping, but anyways, and it literally gave me a heart attack. So yeah, anyways, jokes apart, so this will be case 1. So user, you pick equals rock and bot peeping equals scissors. Now for those who are like, I don't know, basically these parentheses are always executed first in JavaScript. So like not exactly executed, but when you have bitwise or logical operators or just any kind of stuff like that which involves boolean or maths, because boolean basically is a number, you'll know later if you dive a bit deeper into JavaScript. So like it is basically kind of like a number. So yeah, so these will be checked. So both have to be true together for this term in parentheses to be correct. Okay, so this could be the case, or we could have another case which has to be true. So you pick equals paper, and then p pick equals rock. Or so that's the second possibility, and the third possibility will be you pick equals scissors, and p pick will be paper. So console.log, congratulations man, you won. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm going to return. So it is just a common practice for me to return. You could not have it, and it won't, like, it literally won't affect anything because this is a void function, but who cares. Now the last case will be the case in which the bot wins, but since we know this is the only remaining case, we can just use else. So basically, like, if this is not the case, so if this is not the case, so if it isn't a draw, if the user isn't winning, then the bot will win. So obviously we can use else in this case. So else console.log, well, nice try, yeah, being cool, return, and that should be it. This will be the thing which you will be running. Now, before we run the logic and see our code succeed, obviously it will succeed 100%, then let's just tell the user what the bot is picking, because or else it will be a bit ambiguous on the user's end, and it could be just like, they could be just like, oh no, this bot is cheating me, this bot is really cheating, it's a big cheater, whatnot. But so let's just do this. Console.log, you picked user pick, and I'm going to Control-C, Control-V. I picked, bot picked. Simple. Now let's just run this and see what happens. So what will be my pick? I'm not sure. No. Scissors. Or rather, I could keep it wrong. Okay. Yes, I won. Guys, I won. Next time, let's see what happens. Pick your pick, scissors. That's a draw. Sad. Scissors again, because that was a draw. I want to win again. Oh damn it! This guy is adapting. Anyways, jokes apart, that's basically the code. Now we have a surprise twist. Yes, surprise twist. We will be coding this again right now in a new way. So stick around. If you could not understand this code, just start from the beginning and like rewatch it. If you still couldn't understand, then I guess you could type it down in the comments below, because the next step is a bit like is one level up and it is a bit fun. So yeah, let's get started. got RPS score. I think you guys get the idea why I named it single. I should be naming it normal. Okay, RPS normal. Now the thing which we can get from RPS normal though is the logic function. So the reason it is like kind of the reason I made it, but it will be pretty handy. That's why you modularize your code, because you can use it in multiple places and it really helps. Okay, so I can close that because the rest is useless. Let's start with our boilerplate code, which will be require readline, const RPS score interface. Oh wait, just RPS interface, that's better. RPS interface, it will be readline dot create interface, and we just set up our boilerplate. By the way, those who don't know what boilerplate is just like unnecessary code which isn't like, which is constant throughout your stuff. So like if you don't really like, how do I put this, like the extra stuff you need to do to get a basic program running. So if you need to have something made on top of readline, well, bad luck. You need to deal with this, like these few lines, maybe even more depending upon your project. If it is something like, I won't say this is trivial, but it is pretty small compared to if you do some large projects. I don't see this being used anywhere, however, but well, whatever. Now moving on, we got this function and we can just enter away. In the first video, I told you guys that we can work with events, right? Hope I did. Yeah, I did. So this time we will be implementing a score-based system. So the user, I could just comment it on the top. So this time we are coding a score-based RPS program. Let's hype it up a bit. Now we will be using the events. The reason I'm doing this is firstly because it is pretty cool, and secondly is that so that you guys can understand how you work with events. Okay, so yeah. So now the first thing we have is RPS interface dot on. So as I said previously, as I have said actually, this is something you use for listening to events. Now if you still don't understand what events are basically, let's say, like, let's just talk about it in an analogy. So let's say there is an earthquake, okay? So what do we see, or what happens? So the event is an earthquake, and the response we get is are those shakings which we get from the earthquake. Okay, similarly this is like line. So line, this is kind of like the earthquake which is caused by the user hitting enter or like moving to the next line in the terminal. Okay, so that is what this event is about. Like if we had the sig end, obviously we'll work with that, but if we had sig end, then we would have like the event would be the user trying to exit the program. Obviously we will not let them go because we will take them down with us. Yes. Now the second parameter which we have, as you can see, so this is what you call the listener. Now what is a listener? Listener is something that you listen for, or like listen, not listen for, but listen with. Okay, so when we have an earthquake, so we have something ready. So we have like stuff like alarms ready, so people get to know, guys, there's an earthquake, run, stuff like that. It is basically the same thing. Okay, and in this case, for line event, we get something from the earthquake, which is the line event, which is our earthquake. We get some input. It could be an empty string, it could be some random string of characters, it could be a num, it could be anything, but we get it as a string. So now that's how you work. But if you had like the rest of the events mostly don't have any inputs, so like the earthquake comes like a shock, but you still have a few moments to tackle it. So that's kind of the case here. That's not the perfect analogy in this case. How do I put this? Well, earthquake comes and like comes without a warning. Yeah, that's what. Without a warning, earthquakes are like other events. Like they don't provide any information. You see them when they come, kinda. But with this, you get an input, so it can treat it kind of like a warning. But like whenever it is triggered. Anyways, let's get into it. So user input, and if this time we are going to verify first that if we are going to like be making our, how do I put this, user input, like user input, or let's say user choice, user command. Let me just write it, then you guys I can explain a bit better. So we'll do what we did previously so that the person can at least be like, okay, you guys understand me, I'm happy, I'm really happy. That's what we wanna do. Now, if our user command is equals proc or user command equals paper, user command equals paper with scissors, then we are going to have like logic being called with, I should put this in brackets, and we'll have our const random bot pick. So wait, I'm just going to copy and paste because I'm too lazy to type all that, even though it's just 2 lines. So logic, we got the user input, so user pick. So in this here, so we know that they are inputting a valid something, kinda valid, is thingy kinda. So we can just put that there, and we have a bot pick. I'm not going to explain it again because I already did previously. Now let's see if that works out. I'm going to return this because or maybe not return this because it is a void function. It would be the same, but let's just keep that there for simplicity's sake. And we know here this isn't normal input. We need to treat it special. You'll see what I mean in a few moments, or maybe a few minutes. I think minutes. And I did not post a question, sadly. Rock, congratulations, my man, you won. Rock. I should like have those console.logs because they are pretty cool. Because I wrote them, so it will be pretty cool, right? I'm cool, I hope. Use a command. I'm just gonna all default stuff now, and let's just make it let's just have something which is right in the beginning. Maybe not here, I could just put it here. So we have welcome to multi or maybe score based RPS game. That will look good. Please enter your pick. Maybe choice. Yeah. Now that should look better a bit. Okay, it is running. Rock. Oops. Rock. You picked rock. I picked rock. It was a draw. Good job, gentlemen. Great. Rock. 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 This is like empty strings. Now that's what we have right now. I'm thinking, okay, but what kind of difference does this even make? Well, this is basically like kind of structure which we'll be working with a bit more. Now we have that, like, how do we check for user stuff? So user command, it could be end. So let's say the user wants to leave, then we will just close the interface. So user command equals end, then I'll just have interface oops RPS interface oops. Okay, I forgot to put the brackets. Letting the user out of our clutches. That's how we put this. Put this, and we are going to return after this. Now that will be a bit more sleek, quote unquote sleek. Drop and buy. Damn, that was fast. Now, how do we implement our scopes? Okay, so firstly, we are going to be having a global scope variable. Now, if you don't know what scope is, well, I'll be like linking a video down in the description box below which explains what scope is. However, if you want, like, let's just have it for like now. Global scope is basically like everything, like anything in the file can access it, and let's say a function scope will be anything in this function can access it. So let's say if I for example, this is basically a function, so everything inside this function can like call this. And block scoped is basically anything which is restrained to these curly brackets, like to a pair of curly brackets. That's basically what block scoping is. Now we are going to have a global variable which can be accessed from anywhere in the code. So let's say we have our let's score, because we can change our scores, right? Yeah, we can change our scores. Right, I am going to move this logic right down because it is kind of distracting and kind of irritating. Let's wait. Did I say score? I wanted to name it user score, and we'll have a bar score. How cool is that? Now, what else are we going to do? Now we are going to move into our logic function, and we are going to see that, okay, if it is a draw, then well, both get 1 point. Yeah, both get 1. So let's give them both 1 point each. So bot score plus equals 1. By the way, if you don't know what this is, basically shorthand. So this is a shorthand which you get in JavaScript for bot score equals bot score plus 1. Now what this would do seems pretty self-explanatory, but still, just to explain, if you have a bot score, it will be adding 1 to it, so it will just add 1 and put that value in the previous variable. That's what it basically is. So you are basically reassigning. And we also want to up user score by 1, because you should do that, or that will be unfair. Now this time the user wins. So we are going to add this line of code which will add the score. Yeah, score, and this will have part score. Yeah, sounds right. Sounds pretty right. But since they are not really used, so yeah, that's what we need. So this should work, like still works fine. So let's just run that. Yeah, it is working fine. Now the next thing which we are going to do is that we can see the view scoreboard command. So we are basically like making an interactive, something like an interactive scoreboard based stuff, something on the lines of that. So yeah, so else if our user command is equals view score, or we are just going to let the user have a shorthand. So if they type VSC, because view score, or VSCR, so then they can also access this. So this is kind of like an alias system for letting them know. Okay, now what we have here, we are going to get a console.log their scores, isn't that? Now we're going to console.log, and we're going to do this. So basically our current scoreboard, why did I put this? We got this, and we are going to have a table. Yeah, we are going to have a table. So console.table, well, user score, or maybe just user, how do we name this? Well, user, wait, what was it again? I am forgetting stuff. We got user input, and bot input, so like bot score. Yeah, so we got bot score and user score, so that should be it. And now let's run it. VSCR, right? VSCR scoreboard, pretty much. Like, yeah, if you're wondering what the hell is this, like console.table, where did this come from, defective detective, help me. Basically this is a built-in method of console. We normally use console.log, but if you're on browse, then this helps a lot. And what you do is basically have console.log kinda, and you can log out tables. So if I have console.table, well, hi and hello, have this running again. Wait, let's run it again. VSCR, wait, VSCR, okay, hi and hello. Now let's just do a rock. Now VSCR. As you can see, I am just going to remove this. So this is basically a built-in method. I might do something about like the methods which console provides, so that you guys have a better idea. But for now, you can just know that this basically logs your stuff out in a table to make it look better. However, like another alternative scoreboard, another view could be because we already know that console.log has a new line after it. So basically, if you see the terminal next time we run it, so if you see that, you will get that, well, our scoreboard, after that we have a new line, and everything after that we have a new line, right? So we are going to use that property, and we are going to say user and but wait, I'll just have the same number of spaces. We can have 2 spaces. Okay, user but sounds cool, looks cool. Now I'm going to have user score bot score. Pretty cool. Now let's just run it. And we have VSC. We are obviously score, yeah. So yeah, this looks good as well, but you know, like, this looks way better because it is a table and it formats your stuff by default. So yeah, I'll be sticking with that, but you can do whatever you feel like doing. So yeah, we're not finished yet though. We'll do some more stuff, not that fast. Just see one thing. Okay, done, and we are done with this. Now what do we have here? I'm just going to comment this out, by the way, so that you guys don't mess it up. What am I doing? Yeah, okay, I commented it. Now if we run the program again, you'll notice something. Rock. Now if I put something random spam, it doesn't respond, which is really annoying. Yeah, it is really annoying, and to be honest, I'll just say that invalid input provided. Yeah, invalid input provided. Console.log invalid input. Okay, oops. Rock invalid input provided. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for now, and the next thing we can add is the new event which we'll have, which is RPS interface on. So we are going to listen for another event. Yeah, this one will be SigInt, because for some reason other events don't really work for me for some reason. Yeah. Now we got, and the SigInt event, we can just say console.log signal interrupted. Okay, interrupted. Okay, this isn't to kill the terminal all the time. Rock, and we do Control C, signal interrupted. Control C, signal interrupted. You can try it for yourself. Signal interrupted. It is basically like emitted on Control C or Command C if you are on Mac. I'm not on Mac, I'm on Windows, as you can see, Windows 8.1, so that's what it is for me. So now we just gonna say, because we are naughty guys, I am not letting go use end to exit. Yeah, so abruptly, like letting them go by like abruptly is kind of rude, right? So we'll fix that. So if I Control C, I'm not letting it go. Yeah, we get that. Now let's just add some final touches. We are going to make this such that RPS interface or close only works or only is working or only is called basically when the user brings or runs a proper command. Now let's just do this. RPS interface dot question. I'm going to ask them a question. So, do you want to leave? Y or N? Okay, so want to leave input, or I will just name it input. And we have, like, we will be parsing it here. So const y or n, so y or n, so yes or no equals, I'll just name it yes or no because it might be unclear to some people. Yeah, snake case with camel case looks horrible, but it's clear this time because Usoran would be a funny name, I guess. Input dot to overcase. Now what we have here is the confirmation the user writes. If input, or maybe yes or no, not equals y, so yeah, yes or just the yes or n or no, because I'm going to let them pick everything. Console.log input, and we are going to slide this emoticon right inside, and I'm going to return. Simple as that. Next we have else if yes or no, or maybe just if yes or no equals y or yes. So here we are checking that whether the person wants to actually leave us, because that's really sad, really sad. So also, actually no logging, I'll just close the interface. If you want to have a message, don't put it here because we are going to have a finishing message for them. Yes, we are. Else that must have been a typo. And we could put some kind of emoticon. Yeah. So this is our code right now. Let's see if the question thing works, because if it doesn't, then and do you want to leave? Well, I have to leave. I cannot help it. So why invalid what? Wait, what? Yes or no? Yes or no? Oh wait, why did I put or? Okay, so like it is y, but it is neither of those. So true or false or false or false. If it is false, like if it is not the case, so like this will be false. So like the first case will be false, the rest will be true. So why did I miss that out? I can be so dumb at times. Like, yeah, I'm a really dumb dev at times. And okay, this won't even let me live. So basically we are going to exit again like this, and we're going to end y by, that's it. If I put n, wait, and that must have been a typo. Yes, it was a typo. And you invalid input provided, fine by me. Now for the last touch which we will have is the last event, which works on my PC and will probably work on other PCs as well. Like, it is guaranteed. It might, like, the other events might not be valid for you. Yeah. So this is the close event, and close event, as I said, is kind of like the earthquake, which is caused, like going back to the analogy, which is caused by the terminal or interface basically closing. So when I kill the terminal, then I cannot do anything. But when I control C and leave, or end in this case, then I can just run this to do some last ditch attempts to save my stuff. So let's say I was doing writing a file, or I was saving something to the database, then this would be helpful in closing my stuff, because or else data could get corrupted, or data could get harmed, or you just want to do something extra, which is I'm going to do. Console.log bye, see ya, nice playing with you. And this could be, I think, yeah, that's what I mean. One of my friends uses. Yeah, that's one of my friends uses a lot. That's why I'm adding emoticons. Console.log. I'll just let them know the final score. Okay. Final score. Or maybe not with that. Console.table. Yeah, that would be better. Console.table. Final scoreboard. By the way, before you leave, see this. Now we are going to output that. Now let's add something more, because we can do even better. We can do even better. So if at the end of the day user score is greater than bot score, this is like case 1, user wins, console.log at the end of the day, looks like you are better RPS. Another emoticon, because that's not, like, if it is not in, then it is not me, and we are basically going to paste this again. And else if this is case 2, heart wins. Okay, so like at the end of the day, looks like better RPS player. And we can just add a sunglasses emoticon. If you don't know if what that is, it is basically an RPS, like sunglasses emoticons sideways. Yeah, because you cannot really have vertical stuff unless you are having Salvo. Unicode characters. And the case 3, final case, else, console.log at the end of the day. Turns out we are both equally matched. Let's play again. Another day. And to make it even more dramatic, we could add console.log hides away the distance, and we're going to return. So yeah, I'm just trying to make this a bit fun so that like the program is a bit fun. Walk I1 and Y. Let's have a draw and let's see how that looks. Draw. Okay, he won. Draw. He won again. He won again. What? Paper. 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 What? Paper. Paper. Seriously, I cannot draw it. Maybe you guys are better. If you guys are better, you know, how do I put this? Better RPS players, please feel free to play this and enjoy it. So yeah, that's all for this video, and hope that helped out. Like, this has been a long hour of shooting, and I hope this like really helped you guys, because that's what I'm here for. And with this, I probably conclude the Readline Subseries in our series about the Node.js core modules. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any doubts, check that out in the description box below. If there is anything like helping you, because I will put some resources, and if you still cannot understand or have any problems, feel free to comment. See ya.